Welcome back, everybody, to the Tentacles of Cuyahoga County. I'm your host, the infamous ex-chief. This is I had it, the week of August 5th. August 5th already, folks. Somewhat scary. The older I get, I can't do cold weather, and it's scary that, I don't know, are we already at the midpoint of summer? I don't. Is it past? Are we past the midway point? I don't know. It's scary regardless. September is coming up. September starts getting cold. That's a bad thing. So, some housekeeping things I seem to always forget. All right? If you like the content, please hit like. That helps the algorithms of the YouTube universe. And that's why you podcasters, although it's probably convenient for you to listen via podcast, and I should be happy that you're listening, period, but you're screwing up my algorithm, I think. I don't know. I don't know how podcasts work. Anyways, if you please consider hitting like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have some great homegrown content that we bring in here on a weekly basis. And it's actually quite a bit of work, folks. It is. For recording, editing. So that brings me up to the fact that we are on Buzzsprout. All right? For the non-video YouTubing folks out there, we are on Buzzsprout, which I think empties into Apple Podcast, and I'm not sure exactly what other podcast lands the Buzzsprout lands into. And I don't know if I'm going to like this or not, because you guys were making fun of my old Beats, and I can't remember what version they were. They were years old, and I had actually had, I think, 3 pairs of Beats. And every one of them, and I think this is actually when Beats was actually owned by Dr. Dre. I think that's where they came from, right? So this is before, I think Apple took over the Beats headphones. I think they bought them at some point. But so every one of them from the Dre era, this piece here would either rub off or tear or come apart. And again, if it just happened to one, I would probably say, hey, that's probably my fault. I probably was doing something. But it happened to every one of my headphones. And that's what you guys were making fun of. This piece here was falling apart on my last pair of original Beats headphones. And it's a shame because they're probably worth money now. The original Beats. But anyways, I got these. I think these are Pro 4s. And it's sort of distracting, honestly, because I can't hear anything whatsoever outside. So I guess it has superb noise cancellation, which isn't good because I can't necessarily hear my audio at this point. But anyways, the audio for the microphone. So I think we've got, one other thing, feel free to buy me a cup of coffee. I'll put the link right here for all my hard work here at the channel, keeping the channel live. And because I'm now, the crowdsource level of YouTube partner, there's actually also a super thanks at the bottom of the video. But I think that actually only shows up when you're actually watching the video from a desktop. I don't think it shows up. I honestly started watching a lot of YouTube just trying to get some background on what I wanted my platform to look like. But anyways, I think the thank you buttons, the super thank you buttons, are only available on the computer. But we are almost fully monetized now. I think we're, the last time I checked here, hang on, let's look real quick. And of course you have to You have to spell YouTube correctly. So we're at like 3,827 public watch hours. I need 4,000. So we're almost there. We may crush it on this video and get me all the way through. So this this episode, I'm going to be talking about an incident. I think I brought it up loosely previously. It's a incident that occurred in Lakemore, Ohio. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know where Lakemore was. So I actually went to Walsh University much later in life. And I think that I actually would drive through Lakemore, I think. And I didn't even know it. But anyways, Lakemore is a village in Summit County. And there was an incident there that sort of caught my eye. And I've been doing a lot of public records requests to attempt to get some information. Because I've seen the excerpts from the Northeast Ohio 4th Estate media, who are all anti-police anyways. And so I wanted to request the records on my own and determine whether or not I could figure something out. So it was a shooting incident that occurred actually a day before my birthday in 2022. So September 25th, 2022, a day before my birthday, which is September 26th. So feel free to send me my birthday wishes when that rolls around here soon in September. But and I think, I'm going to be at the big 50, the big 50 this September. We should do like this big party. That's what we should do, a live party. But anyways, I noticed the excerpts of this coming out from the media. And so the incident occurred September 25th, 2022. The officer was responding to a burglary call. And at some point, I don't know if it was necessarily the chief of Lakemore or who requested Summit County Sheriff's Department to look into the incident. Apparently, they looked into the incident they were requested around October 3rd of 2022. And then I had actually just sent them an email because it's unclear to me when they requested it be presented to a grand jury, and they requested it be presented to a grand jury by the Ohio Attorney General's office. The Ohio Attorney General's office has what they refer to as a special prosecution section, which are supposed to be prosecutors used in times of possible conflict of interest. You have an officer that worked in Summit County. You have an investigative agency, Summit County, investigating this officer's incident. So obviously you need a supposed third party to look at it neutrally. I don't know still if that's what you honestly get, especially now that I'm becoming more aware of like the Dan Caceres's, which if you aren't familiar with the Dan Caceres, that's from the Don Pasella, which I just figured out how to make a playlist, by the way. And I'm going to hope, maybe I'll link it to this here on this episode. But there's a playlist for Don Pasella. If you have not seen those episodes, you need to watch them. But anyways, Dan Caceres used to be the Cuyahoga County prosecutor who was then hired by the Ohio Attorney General's office. And again, it's hard to have a special prosecutor when you have so many ties already to the jurisdiction that you were working in. And I find it interesting that Mike O'Malley continues to use Dan Caceres as the supposed neutral prosecutor when he was actually a Cuyahoga County prosecutor prior. So there's really no benefit to that. You might as well just say Mike O'Malley's still running the prosecution when Dan Caceres is there. But anyways, they had... It's unclear to me when Yosemite County had transferred everything over to the Ohio Attorney General's office for prosecution, but the officer was not indicted until 2 years later on 4/29/2024. And the other odd thing is by all accounts of research that I can find, and I may be incorrect, so if I am incorrect and someone has firsthand knowledge, feel free to comment below, but it appears that the officer from, the incident, September 2022, till 4/29/2024, 2 years later, it appears that the officer was on active duty and nothing was happening after this. So it's a little puzzling to me because if his actions were so egregious, then why was he allowed to continue on the road for 2 years? But anyways, we'll get into that. But we're going to take somewhat of a deep dive. The information that I have, the reports I have, the videos that I have, there were 2 responding officers. We're going to take a deep dive into this. And I want you, the audience, to weigh in because, as I've said previously, I think the most important thing is there needs to be a correlation of what the public perception of law enforcement is and what law enforcement is actually doing. And until those two meet somewhere in the middle, we're going to continue to have an anti-police referendum. So it's important for the public to voice. I want you to comment on this episode. Once you've watched, look at the reports, look at the videos, and I want your opinions down below. Do you think the officer should have been indicted? Yes or no? Why? Do you think that he was indicted on appropriate charges? Do you think he should have been indicted on more charges? So I want your comments below. Please. Even just like a little emoji or something below to let me know that you're there and paying attention. So anyways, we're going to wrap up the first segment here. We're going to come back and we're going to get into it. All right, folks. Welcome back, everybody. We're on the second segment, and again, we're talking about the Lakemore officer-involved shooting. And just so you know, I don't know where everybody is viewing this from. Here in Ohio, northern part of Ohio, we've been just getting wreaked with havoc, weather, tornadoes. I don't know if there actually were any tornadoes, but there was tornado warnings all over the place. There's wind whipping all over the place, power losses everywhere, and causing all sorts of technical issues for myself. So I had actually came out to the compound here to finish recording this episode, and the wind is just, even outside, normally I would be out by the tiki bar filming this, and even outside the wind is just whipping, and there's no way, I don't think, that I would be able to, with my editing skills, at least at this point. So, I think they call it dodging, something, ducking. I don't think that I have the coordination to duck all the wind noise out of the broadcast. So we're inside at the compound, finishing this last segment. A couple other things just I wanted to point out. So I never try to be disrespectful, except for the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. I'll continue to be disrespectful to them any chance I can get. However, I can't pronounce this officer's last name. I've never actually heard it spoken before. It's spelled Ukleja. Ukleja. All right, but I'm going to refer to him as Dylan throughout the rest of the episode, or any time that I bring this up. I'll Dylan you. All right. And it's pretty funny because if you know anything about cops, we call each other by our last names, and even as close as you get, sometimes you forget the first name of the person in Copland. So in Copland, again, everybody's got last names. People will come up and say, hey, what's that guy's first name? I have no idea. Gonna have to ask him. or her. Anyways, the first part of this, we're going to go through the written report that was authored. It looks like it was authored by the second officer that was on scene, a guy by the name of Shane Slater. Appears to have authored the offense incident report. And I'll put the reports up. Most of what I'm going to be referring to is the narrative from this report. The first couple pages, which I refer to as face sheets. I don't know if other departments refer to those sections as face sheets, but generally it's just the time, date, location, manner, all the FBI statistics. Those are generally on a face sheet. It doesn't really tell you generally what occurred or any type of the investigation that occurred on an incident, but it tells you like the time and date and location. So, again, we're going back to September 25th, one day prior to my birthday, back in 2022, which, again, causes me some concern just because I'm not certain why so long in this egregious act from this officer. But, again, we're trying something new here. We're going to do the in-depth analysis here, and I'm hoping that you, the audience, will comment. And speaking of comments, I did have a very constructive criticism comment, and I replied back. I had released a short video. They call it a short. It's like a 60-second clip from the last episode. And I was talking about McCarthyism in Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. And I'm not certain. The person stated that they liked the content. I'm summarizing here. You're more than welcome to look at the comment yourself. I might even put it up in post-editing. But the person said, hey, I like what you're doing. You got a good message. But you need help because sometimes you're missing describing or explaining what's happening. So in my full video, I had thrown up as an overlay, once I was post-editing, what McCarthyism is. It was just like the definition, essentially. And I'm not certain if the commenter, which I genuinely appreciate any constructive criticism that you want to give me. I want this to be the best show there is. I want Rogan to take notes for me. But getting back to the comment, I'm not certain if the commenter was referring to that short video that I didn't explain what McCarthyism was, or if my overlay definition of McCarthyism was not enough. And I generally want to know. I want to know. So either if you commented on it and you're watching this again and you can let me know, please let me know. Or if anybody else has any comments about it, feel free to drop it. And I hope there's going to be lots of comments. I'm hoping there's going to be lots of comments on this episode because I want the viewers' comments. I want your opinions, what you see, dropped in the comments. Because I want this to be an open-minded discussion because, again, as I've stated before, there's a perception of what the public feels police should be doing. There's what police are doing and generally what they've been trained to do. And there's a disconnect somewhere in the middle, and we need to bridge that. And that's partly what I'm attempting to do here with a lot of these episodes. That's why we went over to the use of force with the instructor, Doug Miller. I want to put it out in the forefront because most people, I don't think it's actually really explained to anybody. It's not really explained the training that police go through or the academy, and most of the training, honestly, is on-the-job training. And I don't think it's really explained very fully. So I'm hoping to bridge that. I'm hoping that this show, this channel, I always refer to it as a show. I guess in YouTube land it's more so a channel, but I'm hoping this channel does give you guys context on how police are thinking and what they're trained to do and what they're doing. And I did have some comments, and I'm going all over the place in left field here. I apologize. So there was an incident, and it's been brought up by multiple people to me, including even police officers, have brought it up to me relative to the shooting incident. And honestly, I would have to look it up. I don't even remember where it was, but there was an incident involving a female that supposedly was threatening an officer with hot boiling water. And I'll be honest, you can call me a bootlicker. Okay, the majority of cops out there are attempting to do a decent job. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. And are there bad police? Yes, there are. But the majority of police are not bad people. They are out there attempting to do the right thing. And I typically, honestly, that's not what the show's about. I don't want to, there's enough shows out there if you want to know or see bad policing. There's enough channels out there on YouTube that you're more than welcome to find it yourself. But it is an interesting event, the shooting that occurred with the female. So I might actually get into it. I don't know. Again, this show, I'm trying not to disparage any law enforcement officer in particular on this show. And in most cases, I'm attempting to question certain things that are happening. And in doing so, I'm hoping to get comments from you guys, because I generally want to know and understand. And I think the majority of everybody does. And I'm hoping that other police officers that watch are gaining insight by everybody's comments. And I have to look. I don't know if there's a way you can post anonymously on YouTube. I know a lot of the comments that come in to me are sort of a gibberish name. And I don't know if the YouTube is allowing them to do that, particularly for the comment that they're leaving on this channel, or if that is truly the username of the person. So, with that, we're going to actually take another quick break here, because my lunch is actually coming in to the compound. So, I got to go pick it up. I got to go pick up my lunch, and we'll be back. All right, everybody, we're back from lunch. Hopefully everybody else had a great lunch also, although we may not have been eating in unison there, but hopefully we are. But so over lunch, I was sitting there thinking to myself of an easier way, or the best way, or a better way, to display this. So originally I was going to actually do the uniform incident report. We're going to go over the uniform incident report, which we still will. But I think let's just jump into the body camera footage, all right? So there's two officers on scene. I'm just going to give you a little prequel just so you understand context of what's happening here. Officers are responding to a burglary call at a Cleveland Clinic golf course. I believe that's what it is. At Lakemore, inside Lakemore Village. And as you'll see, when officers arrive on scene, they discover an open door, a forced door. I mean, you can see by the video that the door has been forced open. So that's where we are at this point. All right, I don't want to, again, I might comment, here and there, but I'm more interested to hear what you, the viewer, sees. So hopefully this will elicit some conversation in the comments. But let's get into... Alright, let's get into this video.
It's side door, right?
Yeah, you want to check that one just to make sure. .461, so I'm out of an open door. Can we get 99, please? Someone there.
Lakemore police, hands up!
Hey! Stop! 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 Wait! Stop! Police, I'm in pursuit. Look, you're going to Crumwood. Stop moving! Hey, can you 19 Springfield, please? Negative. Foot.
Get your hands behind your back! Listen, I'm gonna tell you up front.
No.
Get your
Yeah, we're okay.
No, listen, I'm not resisting, guys!
Foot.
Front right pocket, I got a pocket knife.
Okay.
I'll tell you, okay?
I want your arm. Give me your arm.
I'm sorry?
Give me your arm.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm not resisting. I love you guys. Oh, serious. Not resisting. Promise. Not resisting. Oh, yeah.
Dude, just.
What apprehended? Give me a light.
Go ahead.
Not resisting, guys. Promise. Okay. Serious. You gotta get all wild.
Just the one.
All right. Oh my gosh.
A firm.
Ow. You're kind of tight, fellas. Honestly. Right front pocket. Kershaw folder. Whatever you call it. What were you doing in there, dude? No comment.
Plus 6 voice, so I'm going to go ahead and clear 99.
Can I sit up?
We'll get you up in a sec.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, not resisting. Tim, were you shooting bullets at me, or was that something else?
You had a weapon, you're running.
What? I didn't really have a weapon.
You had a crowbar, that's a weapon.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey, but listen, guys. Look at that.
All right, the video obviously goes on. But the important part that we're talking about here in this episode is the actual shooting itself. So, a couple key things that I want you to take away from that. There is a conversation here once he's handcuffed, and I mean it doesn't appear that there was any like unnecessary force used during the actual handcuffing or anything of that nature. It looks like the other officer, Slater, I believe his name was, apparently caught him, or caught up to him first. And in football, I guess he would have gotten the tackle, right? I'm not. Other than the Buckeyes, that's the only thing I really pay attention to. But the guy the subject does say, "Hey, were those bullets? Were you shooting something at me?" And the officer states, "Well, you had a crowbar," and the guy even says, "Oh, yeah." So I mean, he sort of acknowledges that he does have a crowbar, right? So let's now switch to Officer Slater's body-worn camera. All right, so we're gonna queue up Officer Slater's body-worn camera here, and yes, for all of the tactical people out there, yeah, there's some weird things that are going on as far as tactics. Even maybe some officers putting themselves into somewhat of a crossfire situation upon the entryway. But again, we're not really necessarily talking about those factors, we're talking about the actual officer-involved shooting. So again, this is Officer Slater's body camera. And there is a delay, just so nobody thinks anything's been audited. There's always a delay in audio and body camera for it to kick on. I'll explain in a second.
Lakemore Police, hands up!
Hey, stop! Stop!
Stop! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Stop! Stop! Do you have a gun? Stop or you're gonna be shot! Don't know.
I'm good. I'm serious.
No, you're getting on the fucking ground.
Oh, I will, but listen. Don't want to get shot.
Move over!
Okay. Listen,
Get your hands behind your back!
listen, I just want to tell you up front.
No. Get your hands.
We're okay.
No, listen, I'm not resisting, guys.
Foot.
Front right pocket, I got a pocket knife.
Okay.
Get off.
I want you
Quit
to give me the gun.
resisting!
All right, so we're stopped on Officer Slater's body camera, essentially at the same point where he's handcuffed. So I'm going to break my rule here. I'm going to go back because initially I wasn't going to talk about tactics. I just want to bring it up only in the aspect of, when you're watching this video and Officer Slater's body camera is a lot more apparent because you're seeing both officers. And, Officer Slater's firearm is pointed at the other officer, Officer Ryan, or Dylan. And it's very apparent from watching this video that sadly, I don't think either of these officers had an adequate amount of room clearance, what's called room clearance training. And I don't know if academies necessarily train that. I don't recall myself being trained that in the academy, what is referred to as room clearance. And that was something that I learned through East Cleveland, honestly. Other officers, we would actually have a lot of roll call training relative to room clearance. We would actually have our SWAT operators come in and educate us, and we would go through and drill. And obviously, the village of Lakemore probably is not doing that many room clearances. I'm not disparaging against these two officers, but from an administrative aspect, I would actually be sort of frightened about this because, again, you have two officers. They're obviously very young and relatively I don't know if they're new, but I mean, they're new. They're young officers, and they clearly had no idea how to clear a room because they're putting themselves in crossfire positions. They're pointing the guns at each other. Again, I didn't really want to get into that, but I just want you to understand when administratively, when experienced officers are watching these videos, these are things that we're sort of taking away. And administratively, again, doesn't warrant discipline or anything like that. And if I was the chief of Lakemore, this was something I would definitely take away from this video and make certain from then on that every one of my officers has received copious amounts of room clearing training. Because room clearing, whether you're serving warrants, potential warrants, whether you're going into a domestic violence type call, I mean, room clearing is imperative in police work. So, honestly, you can't focus, this is more important than this, but room clearing is something that you probably will do quite often. And even though you may not respond to a lot of calls in Lakemore, and I don't know, I have no idea what the call volume of Lakemore Police Department is, but this is something that would be very concerning to me, that these officers appear to have no training or knowledge how to clear the room. So, anyways, getting back to the officer-involved shooting incident, now you've seen both aspects, both videos. We're going to get into now the actual written report, and I'm glad that I did it this way, because what I want to do now is we're probably at least up to 40 minutes in this video content. And what I want to do now, we're gonna break this into 2 segments, all right? Because what I would really like is just people to view both of those body cameras. Feel free to stop, pause, rewind, fast forward. I want your opinion. I want your opinion on what you think has happened here, okay? And again, we're going to get into a lot of things. Probably in the next episode, we're going to get into some things that have occurred recently to Officer Dillon. He has had some other issues, but I think those issues, unfortunately, have spawned from this issue. And this often occurs in law enforcement when officers are subjected to outside scrutiny, and this is at the extreme level because he's been indicted. Most of the time, it's usually just you're highlighted, you're put on the news over an action that you took. Hopefully you've taken the right action. But again, that's part of the issue. You don't know. You're second guessing yourself. But anyways, causes stress, causes anxiety, and then before you know it, officers are getting themselves into trouble in other issues and other avenues. But we'll discuss. I wasn't really going to go into it real in depth, but we'll discuss hopefully in the next episode what has occurred to Officer Dillon since this incident. But I really want to focus on this episode and the beginning of the next episode on this officer-involved shooting. I want your comments and what your opinions below on. He was ultimately charged, I believe, with 1 felonious assault, and I'm going to make the definition. I'm going to walk you through the definition of felonious assault in post-production. All right, so generally the felonious assault that I normally would be charging in East Cleveland is relative to, it could be a firearm, but generally it's you're making contact with someone, causing injury in that regards. All right, so folks, he was charged with 1 count of felonious assault, and just so I'll put it up so that everybody can see, but felonious assault by Ohio Revised Code is A, no person shall knowingly do either the following: 1, cause serious physical harm to another or to another's unborn; 2, cause or attempt to cause physical harm to another or to another's unborn by means of a deadly weapon or dangerous ordinance. And obviously a firearm would qualify as a deadly weapon. So this is how they've come up with the felonious assault. But I want your comments below. What you've seen on the body camera. And I haven't even offered any of my opinion at this point as to what has occurred. I want you guys to go through on the comments. I'm hoping that I can get some interaction. You guys go through on the comments. You tell me what you observed, what you saw, whether you think it was appropriate or not. And again, I just want to point out, the subject admitted to having a crowbar, and it's going to be something that's in. I'm going to give you this much of a prequel to the written report. Both officers saw the subject with the crowbar. Both officers initially thought that the subject was closing distance to officers with the crowbar. So I'm going to leave it at that. And then it's up to you. It's up to your interpretation. I want your thoughts and comments below. And then we'll come back next episode. We're going to go over the written report, what I think, and we're going to go in a little bit about what happened to Officer Dillon post all of these issues. All right? So, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week, and thanks for coming here and sharing your time with me. Make certain you hit like, please. It helps the algorithms of the YouTube God's little G. And hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you are subscribed, thanks for your continued patronage. We'll talk to you guys later.